Hey, what's up? It's Greg with How to Build Games. Today I'm going to talk about game jams, what they are, and why you would want to do one. So the basic idea of a game jam traditionally is that you've got a set amount of time to work on a game, to start and finish it. A lot of times you get a topic that is not revealed until the beginning of the game jam. So like one of the main ones that I did in person, because you can do them in person or you can do them online. One of the main ones I did in person, I went to, and it was from Friday night until Sunday night, 48 hours, which is fairly common. And we got the topic on Friday night. And as a programmer, I thought, okay, I can work with that. I found an artist there that I'd been talking to some. We seemed to get along, so we said, hey, let's work on a game together. Let's brainstorm. We got the topic. We came up with this idea that I'll tell you about in a little bit. I want to cover some more of what a game jam is. So, let me also say, as opposed to some of the older ones like that, there's a lot more that have all kinds of rules across the board. Some of them, you're supposed to start a brand new game at the beginning of the jam and finish it at the end of the jam. Some of them you can kind of pick up what you've been working on already, or you can, start a new one. Either way. In either case, it's a great way to learn new stuff. And whether that's collaboration with a team, whether that's a new skill, whether you decide to rely on skills that you already know well, or you want to try a new plugin or something like that. I used it at my game jam. I used the game jam as the opportunity to crash course on this animation plugin I was wanting to learn at the time, which worked out well because the other guy was more of a traditional artist than an animator. But I was able to take what he did, he scanned it in, and I was able to animate it with this plugin that's not around or relevant anymore because this was a long time ago. But the cool thing about them is that you're going to start this and you're going to finish this, generally speaking. You've got a set amount of time. So what I talked about in one of my other videos about why finishing is way more important than starting, you're going to finish. It's not going to be perfect. Just go into it knowing that. But still, you're going to come out with something at the end that go, okay, it's a playable thing. Or not. And that's okay too. That's the kind of the cool thing about it. There's not really... some game jams have winners. But there's no losers. Not even the idea guys. So... I know I hate on idea guys a lot, especially in my other video that you can check out. But game jams are a great place for idea guys, as a matter of fact. Because you might have a programmer there and an artist there, but they're not good at lots of creative thinking. Or you can get somebody in there on your team that doesn't have any idea what could be done, what you're capable of doing, and he's going to draw things out of you. That's kind of the beauty of working in a team environment like that. So, yeah, great place for idea guys. If you haven't seen my video about why idea guys suck and how they can suck less, this would be a good time to watch that. So there's a big one this weekend called the Global Game Jam. Happens once a year in January. Hashtag GGJ on Twitter is a really good way to follow and keep up with that. Or it might be GGJ 20, as in Global Game Jam 2020. Twitter is a really good way to keep up with different game jams and things going on. Ludum Dare is another good one that I've participated in the past, and they actually ask that you release the source code to what you do in whatever language you do it in. So that's kind of neat, and you can find some good ideas. One of my favorite games to play never got released, but it was made by a friend of mine at a game jam, and I got to play it, and other people got to play it, and he still hasn't put it out, and it's been like 7 or 8 years, but it was really fun. I hope one day he gets it out. So we'll see. Global Game Jam is a good one. People all over the world are going to be participating in that. A lot of times there are places locally, if you live near a big city, that you can go and participate, like where I'm at, the local university. has a lab open for the 48 hours of the game jam will be open. Because I have a family, I don't think I'm going to be able to go and pull the all-nighters and participate in this one. But, especially if you don't have a family or you have more flexibility, you really should. It's a lot of fun to go and do one in person. A lot of times you get pizza and caffeine. You'll meet some new people. You'll create something. You'll create something with new people in a limited amount of time under some degree of pressure. But that kind of builds a sense of camaraderie and companionship, and you've kind of been through something together. The guy that I met at my game jam, he and I ended up making this game, and I forget what the topic was. But we ended up, the idea was zombie search and rescue. That there was a zombie graveyard keeper who was going and digging up graves trying to rescue the other zombies. Now, I know, zombie graveyard has been done, but at the time, this was 7 or 8 years ago. 2012 it would have been. So, some of the graveyard games that are out now were not out then. So, this was something that we just kind of pulled out of, and it was a very loose interpretation of the theme, which was okay. Doesn't matter. But that artist and I worked on that all weekend, and then got together a few months later and worked on another app that we published in the App Store called Santa Hates You But Loves Me. Called him up, said, hey, I got this idea for an app, need an illustrator. He said, sure, let's do it. So you just never know where these kinds of things are going to lead. They're a lot of fun to take part in, especially if you can go in person. I'd really encourage you to do that at least once or twice. Doing them online, keeping up with things, as with Discords and Twitter and all that stuff, there's a lot of good ways to kind of feel in the mix these days. That wasn't as much the case. Well, Twitter has always been pretty active in the game jam scene, but go to one in person if you can. Speaking of in-person events, if you've ever heard of a startup weekend, that's basically like this, except for business ideas. So you're going in, you got 48 hours from, Friday night to Sunday night, something like that. And you go as a programmer or an artist or an idea guy. A lot of times with startup weekend, somebody will pitch their idea. Everybody who has an idea can go and pitch. They can bring a team to them. It works differently. I've been in a couple of different ones. And you'll create something. I've done one of those in person. That was a lot of fun. Did an augmented reality thing also back 8 or 9 years ago, way before augmented reality was really cool. People didn't really understand what it was, but they liked it. So Startup Weekend is basically the same thing as a game jam, except for business. For an app or a website, or maybe it's not an app or a website. Maybe it's a physical business. So Startup Weekends, also very cool, but not really the topic, but kind of related. So let me tell you about some of the games you may have heard of that started at a game jam. A little game called Super Hot. Chameleon Run, very popular on mobile for a while. Goat Simulator. Heard of that one? Surgeon Simulator. Also started at a game jam. Don't Starve. Started at a game jam. Costume Quest. Binding of Isaac. Now, you may not have heard of all of these, but chances are pretty good. If you play games at all, you've probably heard of some of these. You've probably played some of these. These are games on Steam. These are games on console. These are games on mobile. These are games in VR that all started at game jams. There's a lot of other ones. So I'm going to pull up my browser now and switch over to that. So here are some resources that will help you to find out more about game jams and participate. So first, globalgamejam.org is a great website. At the time of this recording, the Global Game Jam is coming up very soon, but they have them all over. Hundreds of locations worldwide. Like I said, if you can't be at one place, you can still do online and take part. They've got tons of good information. They've usually got a big speaker, Chris Avallone of Wasteland fame. He's a good guy. He's going to be there. Here's social media, the Discord, Twitch live stream, all that kind of good stuff. Different local sites. in different areas. So lots of cool stuff on the globalgamejam.org website. A lot of sponsors. Sometimes these different sponsors will offer different software, discounts, things like that for people to use during the game and after sometimes. Here is the itch.io/jams page. Another really good resource with a lot of stuff. Now, as you can see here, there are lots of jams. So this is today when I'm recording it, and here's all the different jams going on, because anyone can instantly create and host a jam. This is not always the case, but it is now. So you can kind of find what looks interesting to you, whether it's a weekly thing, a mini day, a mini jam, make a level, different kinds of themes, a 3-hour game jam, improve my game jam. Like I said, sometimes you work with something that's already there. Devtober was that kind of thing where you're supposed to pick up something and work on it. So all kinds of different stuff, all kinds of different topics and themes. It's good stuff. itch.io/jams. Global Game Jam success stories. Here's a bunch of, I'll just kind of scroll through quickly, a bunch of different games that you can click on and play or buy. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is one I didn't mention earlier. Really fun in VR. Lots and lots and lots and lots of games you have probably heard of or should. Like I said, these little games, with 48 hours, you really focus in on one mechanic a lot of times and get that one thing going right and get it going good. Category on Wikipedia, Game Jam video games. And these are video games initially developed in the course of a game jam, a day to week-long period where developers build a game from scratch into a near-completed state. As this says, some were originally started during the game jam, like Super Hot. More progress was done on them before they came to your console. A lot of good stuff. The other one that I would be remiss if I did not mention is Ludum Dare. It's an online event where games are made from scratch in a weekend. Check us out every April and October. So we've got a calendar there that tells us when the next one starts, April and October. Also a lot of fun. I've participated in this one in the past. You can go, you can play the games, you can see what's been made, you can explore, all kinds of fun stuff. People vote here, there's different things you can win, so it's a lot of good stuff. So stay tuned, we've got What's Greg working on and What's Greg playing, but I hope you've learned about game jams today. If we've encouraged you to take part in a jam, or you've taken part in a jam before, please let us know in the comments. Did you find this useful? Or if there's other future topics you'd like to see me cover, please let me know. And we'll be right back. Hey, what's up? This week on What's Greg Playing is Risk of Rain 2. So I'm going to start the single player. Here's my basic character. I'm going to ready up. I'm going to go. So this is an indie game. It is created by the same people that made the original Risk of Rain game, which, if you have not played the first one, you're going to be pretty lost in the second one. Basic idea is you're running around, you're shooting at things, and things pop out of the ground at you. You've got different skills. You've got rolling, running, things like that. And you've got a lot of different power-ups and stuff that you can get. The goal for each level is to get to a certain teleporter. The trick is that you don't really know where it's at when you start. And because it is a 3D environment, it could be anywhere. Now, the original Risk of Rain was that sounds big, was a two-dimensional game, and it was not easy. Really not. This one is, I think, a little bit harder because you just don't really know where you're going. It's a much bigger environment. It's got a lot of the same features, which is why I say if you've played the first one, if you haven't played the first one, you should probably do that before this. Maybe I'll feature the first one next time. But it's just a cool game. I'm using my WASD keys to move around. I'm using my mouse button and my right mouse button to do this alt fire that travels through. And as you find more things, you level up and end up all kinds of interesting creatures. Here's like a loot crate, so I can open that up, see what's in there. I can get that. It gives me extra damage to nearby enemies. And there's just tons and tons of these things that you can find. So the goal is to not die and to find the exit. So everything I kill, I'm getting coins. I'm probably going to die here. We'll see. Yep. Nope, not quite. Open the barrel! I'm about to die. Not an easy game, but it is pretty fun. The different environments that it makes are pretty cool. So now I've got all kinds of fun stuff chasing me. Hey, there's the teleporter. Now, I'm definitely going to die. So I activate the teleporter. Now I've got to stay in the area and I get some random boss, the Wandering Vagrant, that guy in this case, that I've got to kill as well. So I'm going to die. I'm dead. But that was a new character, just so I could kind of show you the front to back, top to bottom thing. You've got some stats, but over time you will get different skills. You'll be able to choose different things, different loadouts. You'll have different artifacts that you found. You can choose a different difficulty level, things like that. It's a neat game. Risk of Rain 2. It's on Steam. They do have multiplayer, though I haven't tried that yet. It's a cool little game. If you like kind of third-person shooters and everything's procedurally generated, it's worth taking a look at. Thanks for watching this edition of What's Greg Playing? And welcome to this week's edition of What is Greg Working On? I am still working on Rolling Blocks because it still needs help. If you didn't see the other video where I was working on this, basically it's a game where you are commanding this small army of blocks, and as each piece rolls into place, it takes on the proper color that it should have for that place. As you probably know, if you are watching this video or familiar with this channel at all, this is built in Unity. I've been working on this one off and on for a number of years, and this is one of those that I just kind of keep coming back to. Had some game-breaking bugs, so I have not released it yet, but I think I've got just about all of those finished. Just, you know, sometimes you don't want to wait too long to release something, but at the same time you don't want to give your users a really bad experience. So I've not released it yet. Now I've got all that finished. So now we go into the block playground, and despite these being in the wrong place, I can right click something to make it smaller, or I can left click to make it bigger or smaller. And this part for me is almost as much fun as the rest of the game. I can hit rebuild, that gets rebuilt. If I hit shrink swipe, then everywhere I swipe, I'm just moving the mouse around, does that. So kind of fun. This will be eventually on mobile and PC, probably mid 2020. It should be out by then. If it's out by the time you're watching this, I'll put a link in the description below. But it's pretty fun. I think other people would want to play it. I will have it out on mobile. I've played it on iPad for many years and many incarnations. It can be Steam and maybe Itch on PC. Go to the next level and it makes something else, although I've got a thing in there so it skips right to the end, so that wasn't very difficult. Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of What's Greg Playing? Thanks for watching. That's all we've got for today. New videos every Wednesday relating to indie game development, indie game dev life, that sort of thing. So let us know if you have any comments, thoughts, suggestions. Give us a subscribe and a thumbs up if you think that's appropriate. We'll catch you next time.